Hello viewers, in this example, let's learn about group by clause within SQL, and you can use this across multiple SQL databases as well. It's pretty common and very highly used when you write SQL queries. A group by is usually used for aggregation of data. So in simple words, it groups set of rows by their it creates a summary and group set of values by its columns, right? Or you can also have an expression written like a function or something, right? Like count, sum, all kinds of, there is like a whole set of functions that you can use to aggregate the results as well. So you can, so, so in summary, you can either um, aggregate over or a set of values within a column, which I'm going to show you as an example, or you can also use an aggregation function to group data basing upon that aggregated output as well, right? So you can use like an expression, and then you can aggregate your column values as per that expression outcome, right? So this is pretty powerful and very much used. The most highly used functions within group by or when you go to your job. Most of the time you'll use these functions, which are sum you'll use a lot, count you'll use a lot, max function you'll use a lot, minimum, min function is you'll use a lot. That we'll touch in other videos, by the way. And you'll also very rarely you'll also use average AVG function as well, right? So in this example, we're going to touch on two aggregate functions, count and sum as an example. But when you practice group by, you can Google and you can find a whole set of examples on aggregation functions as well, right? You can simply type SQL aggregation functions and aggregate functions, and you can get a whole lot of functions as well. I'll try to cover as much as possible, right? So let's come to the first example, right? Group by is a clause. So let's say if you want to aggregate on a single column, right, values. So what you can do is you can select that column from the table, like pretty much we learned from many other videos in my past playlist, and then then you followed by group by, and then and followed by the column name that you want to group the values, right? The column name where in which you want to group all the values. And keep in mind the group by clause always will be after select, right? It should be always select. And if you're using where clause, it should follow after the where clause, right? So for example, if I have where clause in my SQL in this case, right? I'm just putting some where clause as an example. I don't want to have any nulls, right? I want to only consider or group only city names that doesn't have any null values in there. Obviously, in our case, in our example, we don't have any null, but this is an example, right? So and if I use this like without this, if I execute just the select statement, you'll see the city 2 is repeated, city 3 is repeated, whatnot, all right. When you use group by clause here, what it does is it just summarizes all the data values into one, right? So basically when you use this, what it does is it just making it as a summary. It might look like it's pretty similar to distinct, but it's not. It has a different functionality by itself, right? It's more of creates an aggregated summary result out of your table data, right? Let's look at a different example where you're using an aggregate function, right? In this case, we are using count, right? Why are we writing this example? Why are we writing this query, right? So let's say your manager asks you to display all the cities from where your customers are located, right? Where your customers are located, and you want to see predominantly, you want to see what cities have larger footprint of customers, right? And you want you were asked for those details, right? So in that case, what you will write is you select your column name on which you want to aggregate. Obviously, you've been asked to um, get the count of customers belonging to a specific city, right? So hence you're aggregating on the city name, and now you're counting on the customers that are residing in a city, right? So you will be using the function aggregate function called count, and you count on what column, right? And here you are counting the customers, and you're going to give a alias name, which is cust underscore count from the customer table, right? This is the table you're using to get this these details, right? And then now you're using a group by. So because you're getting the count of these customers within the city names, right? By city names. So hence you're grouping by city name, right? So that's the whole point. Again, if you want to add a where clause, by all means, you can add a where clause here, right? Doesn't matter, but always group by will be at the very end, not the very end, but after select and where clause for sure, right? Select where and group by. So if I run the SQL, what it does is it's going to display by city how many customers are there. It's gonna display. Let's say, like, if you want to make it much more easier for your manager to digest the information you provide, you can say cust underscore count. You can order by cust underscore count, and if you do the descending, what it does is it'll give put all the counts in order. So now you can produce these results as, okay, city 2 has our most footprint of customers, and whereas city 6 has less customers, right? So your probably marketing will be much more concentrated on areas where you make more money, and also you'll also drive new customers from cities where there is lesser footprint, right? And you'll also analyze what are the reasons why you have less customers from so and so cities. Maybe drive distance is too far, whatnot, all right? So there's a lot of factors that you can analyze out of this outcome of this query. And this is very highly used example in you at your job as well. So I'm not saying it's exactly the same query. I'm saying the concept is pretty widely used when you go work for a XYZ company out there, right? So just keep this in mind. Let's take one more example, right? Let's say your boss again asks you to get all the books that are getting good amount of sales, right? Or having a sale, right? And they want to see the aggregation of the sale amount. So basing upon the sale amount, they want to see what books they want to retain in their store and what books they want to kind of not renew the contracts, right? So at that point, what you can do is you can write a select query on the book ID. Again, we are trying to see all the books who's and get their the aggregated sales amount, right? So here I'm using function called sum, like count. Sum is a aggregate function, and followed by what I'm aggregating, right? Sale amount is what I'm aggregating. Keep in mind b dot book ID, which means book ID is coming from books table, and sale amount is coming from the book sales table, right? So hence you'll notice the aliases here. And I'm also giving an alias to this sum of BS sale amount as aggregated sale amount, which is AGG sale amount from the books table, and then join. I'm using inner join book sales table, and the condition is join condition is on the book ID, right? Now followed by group by clause, where I'm aggregating on the book ID. So I'm gonna input the column on which I'm aggregating on. And I'm also putting order by clause, so it's easier for my boss to read the results and come to a conclusion on which books are producing high amount of sales, right? So if I execute this SQL, what it does is, so obviously my book number 3 is producing like highest amount of sales, which is $115, and book number 7 and 6 are on the lower end, right? So basing upon that, the business and the management team will make important decisions on cost savings, or how to market the book number 6 and 7 better, allocate more, marketing dollars towards, 6 and 7 rather than 3 and 8, which are already highly popular. So there's a lot of statistics that can go into play basing upon the results that you produce out of your database, right? So this is the main usage of group by. Once again, group by is pretty powerful and very highly used at your job. So make sure that after watching this video, um, go on online and get more examples out there. Thanks for watching this video.